Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everyone. Guys, listen, we are going to start with some breaking news from France. I think there's there's clearly a media blackout on this. News articles, international news articles are reporting that there's been a mass shooting in France. Here in the United Kingdom, there's been an absolute media blackout. Now, I'm gonna go with this with an article here, guys. And again, this is from the Hindu Times, but it gives me the best outline of it. So I'm going to repeat that again, guys. There's been a mass shooting incident in France. That's what they're declaring. A mass shooting in the Les Moulins neighborhood of Nice, France, has left at least 2 people dead, 5 others injured. Now, I'm just going to read this article, guys. I'm getting this from the first time. It's not been reported by, Western mainstream media. Now, that to me asks questions like, do we not want to know that there's these mass things happening, firearms being used in different parts of the world? Do we think that could happen here in the United Kingdom? I would say the likelihood is high. So this is an article, guys. If you guys want to go check that out yourselves, this is from the Hindu Times, published today at 03:30 a.m. A mass shooting in the Les Moulins neighborhood of Nice. I might be mispronouncing that wrong, guys. I made myself forget any French. Has left at least 2 people dead, 5 injured in the Perfect of the Alps Maritime said on a post on X. Now, I don't know what that is, the Perfect of the Alps Maritime. I think it may be like the mayor of that region or something. I don't know, but this is what the article's reporting. A shooting took place this evening in Nice, in the Moulins neighborhood. 2 people have tragically transcended to beams of light, 2 people seriously injured, and 3 people less severe. Law enforcement and firefighters are on the site and have proceeded to secure the perimeter, the post said. Lauren Hotaux, I think this must be like what the French call the mayor or something of that region. Let me just Google who this is. Sorry, guys, I'm doing this in real time. Where's that? Lauren Hotaux, Perfect of the Alps, I think that's the mayor, like I said, is on site and strongly condemns the heinous act. On the decision of the Minister of the Interior, reinforcements will be mobilized starting tomorrow to ensure the security in the neighborhood and will remain there as long as necessary. Guys, what is happening right now in France? The Ministry of Interior, which would be like the Home Secretary in the United Kingdom, they're sending reinforcements. Now, I don't know what that means. Does that mean they're militarizing this area? Does that mean they are sending in the military to, impose martial law on this neighborhood? Guys, listen, why is this not being communicated on mainstream media? Why is it not being communicated? So that is all we know at the moment, guys. But there's other news outlets reporting it as well. But you really do have to look for this. So first of all, my question is, why is this not being reported? Why is it not being reported on like no one else is covering this, guys? Nobody else is covering that. But it does look like there's been a mass shooting in France. It does look like there's a Western media blackout of it. So there you go, guys. It just shows you that here in the United Kingdom, we don't always get told what's happening. So the next logical question would be, who's dictating that narrative? Also, if you live in the United Kingdom today, ladies and gentlemen, in London, there's a big protest. There's a pro-Palestinian march planned. Now, look, guys, we are going to see very soon the tolerant left. So look, guys, let me just, I'm going to jump onto some questions and chat in a minute. And I think it's fair that I should say this more often. You know how I always say that we need to talk to people, and once conversation breaks down, that's when the wars start. Now, you can look at this in any aspect. You can look at geopolitical relationships whereby country X removes all their embassy staff from country Y. So then country Y removes all their embassy staff from country X. So then these two guys are not talking. They're going to have a fight. You can look down at common relationships. If you stop talking to your friends, if you stop talking to your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, and you don't tell them what the problems are, and you don't come together and work on those problems, it's just going to cause conflict. And I always say, you guys, I need to get that meme. I need to print these memes off, don't I? I always say, don't I? You know, you've seen the meme where there's like the cylinder, and there's two shadows being shone on this cylinder, and one of the guys it's saying it's a circle because he's looking and he's seeing a circle, and it is a circle. And the other guy is pointing and he's saying no, it's a square because he's seeing a cylinder. Because he is seeing a square. So they're both right. What they need to do is meet in the middle, look and say, we're sharing our perspective here. That's actually a cylinder. We were both wrong and we were both right. It's a cylinder. We now understand each other's perspectives. There's no problem here at all. Let's shake hands and build spaceships. What we have at the moment, though, is I feel we have the exact same scenario, left and right politics. We have people on the right saying, do you want to come? Listen, this is my opinion. This is my opinion. And the other guy saying, racist, death to the infidels. That's literally where we are right now, guys. And unless we can come together and talk, carnage is going to happen. So I'm going to lead with this story from France. There's been very little media outlet. There's been very little media coverage of this. Certainly no media coverage in the United Kingdom on this. It's just very strange that we can't see this. So there's the Hindu Times, there is AA.com reporting this, an Israeli news outlet. There is quite a few news articles, French news articles reporting this, but nothing in the UK, guys. Absolutely nothing. So I'll get some chat, guys, and then we're going to talk about what's happening today in the United Kingdom. So for those of you who don't know, in the United Kingdom today, there's a mass protest. I believe it's in London. They're going to be waving the Palestinian flags. The government have asked them nicely not to be violent. What do we think is going to happen, guys? Do you think they're going to be violent? Do you think there's going to be scenes of mass arrests and people screaming and shouting and rah? And not a peep. There will not be a peep out of our government, guys. Keir Starmer will be. Shabina Mahmood will just say, it's people expressing their opinions. But look, guys, right now in the United Kingdom, it is bonkers. Right. Good morning, everyone on the chat. Good morning. Good Saturday morning. I hope there are no fuzzy heads this morning. Come on, be honest. Who was drinking last night? Come on. Who was drinking? Right, I'm just going to get the chat on TikTok, and then I'll jump over to YouTube in a second, guys, okay? Julia H, Tinks, David, LG, Joanne Kennedy, Clue. Wasn't Clue? No, that was Clue off Tron. I am Charlie's joined. Scooby-Doo. Lots of people joining, guys. I'm just going to come down to the comments. Timsky say, morning to you, Timsky. Claire's joined, Miss T. Kaza say morning all. Jodie Lee say morning all. Sharon Owen. Listen, guys, I'm going to try as much as I can to keep the TikTok chat closed because we get some wild people on there. If you're wanting to put a comment out, jump over and put that comment on YouTube, guys, okay? We're triple streaming this morning, as always. We're streaming on YouTube, we're streaming on X, and we are streaming on TikTok. So please go and show your support on all three platforms, guys. We will do the first part of this live stream on TikTok, X, and YouTube. We'll then close TikTok down, and we'll be just streaming on X and YouTube. Danny Boy saying there was a shooting at a church in Michigan on the 29th. I think there's a media blackout on this, guys. I really do. I think there is an absolute media blackout right now on these shootings. You know, unless you can't hide them. Googly is saying, hello, crazy people. Good morning, everyone. Danny Boy is saying, according to the new astronauts going to the moon, we never went to the moon before. Okay, I mean, that's a massive statement. I mean, look, that is a massive statement to be throwing out there this time in the morning, Danny Boy, but we will come back to that because you've mentioned it. In fact, you know what? I'll do it. We'll talk about it now, actually. Because Danny Boy's mentioned it, and I always get these comments. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I come on here and I do live streams. I never know what the questions are going to be. And the reason I come on here and we do live streams is so you know that I know what I'm talking about. Look at the granular responses I give to these questions. Look at the depths of analysis I give, and I do it in real time. I don't say, oh, hang on, research a video for 6 hours, then come on and do a load of jump cuts. No, I give it you in real time. So my thoughts on the moon landing are such. If it was faked, the Russians had to be in on it. If the moon landings were fake, then 100% the Russians had to be in on it. Now, because the Russians will have had the right telemetry equipment to, you know, to check that. The videos that we've been shown of the moon landing, they are like, if you watch them back now, like the lander leaving and going up into space, you know, it just looks ridiculous. If you watch it now, it looks ridiculous. I'm not saying that's not real. I'm just saying if it was fake, the Russians were in on it. And yes, all the footage does look ridiculous. Right, let me jump up. Where's these comments, guys? Where's these comments? Guys, lots of people joining. Good morning, everyone who's joining. Good morning, everyone. Yeah. Hang on. Right, the chat's going crazy on TikTok, guys. It's jumping up and down. It's jumping up and down like little Keir Starmer's heartbeat right now. Linda Lewis saying morning all. Coral Reefing saying morning. Googly saying IDF shifts to defensive operations only in Gaza. Israeli media reports. Look, guys. Let's just hope and pray that these hostages get released. Let's just hope and pray that this thing goes through. Let's just hope and pray that there is some sort of ceasefire in the Middle East. Let's just hope and pray that it happens. I've got my reservations, guys. I've got my reservations. But let's just hope and pray that everything goes ahead. Danny Boy is saying, yes, I do, not me. Googly is saying it was the elders. Coral Reefing is off to the gym in a minute. Good effort, Coral Reefing. Good effort, Coral Reefing. Well done. Danny Boy's talking about he had a few beers last night, but he's not got a fuzzy head. UK Veterans is saying, no teetotal unless away with the old army mates. Then I'm a cheap date. I'm going to pin that. That should be on a t-shirt as well. I need to start printing t-shirts, don't I, guys? I said something yesterday on the live stream, and I think it was so profound. Like, I think it was so profound what I said yesterday on the live stream. We have shackled ourselves. We have shackled ourselves to our own demise. I just came out with that yesterday. I came out with that just off the top of my head. Such a profound statement. And that's why you're here, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? For profound statements, real-time analysis of somebody who knows what they're talking about. Because I can guarantee people on the mainstream have no idea what they're talking about. Celebrity influencers, they're stupid. They are. I mean, actors, they literally pretend to be someone else. What do you want to do? Pretend to be this person. Oh, okay. Not all of them. Some of them are cool. Where was we going with that? I can't remember. Yeah, t-shirts. We need to start printing t-shirts. Martin Quinn, Lulswell is saying hi. Martin Quinn is saying, Sean, looks like you've got a collar on. Have you been watching Pulp Fiction? No, it's this is my granddad's jumper. It's a proper 90s jumper. I've got my he died like 2016, and I thought, well, I'm not throwing his clothes away. There's some good jumpers in there. You know, so I just own it, guys. I just own it. But no, I've not been watching Pulp Fiction. I've not watched that for a while. I do like the dancing scene with what's his name, John Travolta, and that woman. I think that's cool. Linda Lou is saying, my drinking days are over. Get the same effect just standing up. Kaz is saying, what the hell was Shabina Mahmood doing at a Free Palestine protest during the aftermath? I don't think she was. I think that was an old, I think what you're talking about was old footage. Mine Quinn is saying, I watched that on Sky News as well. They just said as normal. They just said it's normal. Timsky is saying, I don't think they went to the moon before. UK Veterans is saying, he did say, I saw the video of him saying maybe he meant first Canadians. I don't know what that means. Right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, guys, if you're joining for the first time and you're on right now, I'm just looking at the chat. Can you do me a real big favor, guys? Can you hit those buttons below, the like, comment, subscribe, bell notification? Can you share my stuff on your socials? Do all those things that help this channel grow, because ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, it's only your fine fingers that can help grow this channel, and I really do appreciate it. And I know we all want. I know we all want that. I know I want that. If you were on the Ravenmans chat last night, you missed a treat. Yeah, guys, the chat was going crazy last night. Google is saying, Sean, what did you think of the space video I sent you? There's a lot of stuff happening on the space frontier, guys. I'll cover space, the asteroids that are heading towards us, biblical prophecy, all this stuff that does seem like you can't hide away from it. You know, it really is there in front of you. I'll come on to that towards the end of the video, guys. Probably when we've jumped over onto YouTube. Right now, guys, I just want to report, and I want to give the update that I believe that there is a media blackout in the United Kingdom. French news articles are reporting a mass shooting in the. Where is it? This is what they're reporting, guys. This is what people are reporting. Mass shooting in France. 2 dead, 5 injured in Les Moulins neighborhood of Nice. Now, some people are saying this is gang related, but it looks like the French are bringing the military in to secure that area. So I don't know, guys. What's the demographic of that area? What's happened to France in the last few years? Like, you know, if you guys have seen pictures of France, Paris, you know, like what's that big tower? I want to say the Blackburn Tower, but it's not. The Eiffel Tower. If you guys have seen images of the Eiffel Tower lately, the whole place is a shithole, guys. It is. I'll be honest with you. It's a shithole. You know, like I wouldn't want to go there for a romantic weekend. I'd be like, oh, God, get me back to Barnsley. So I do think there's a media blackout on this, guys. And, you know, I do think there are more of these incidents. There must be more of these incidents happening in more diverse parts of the world. Well, I guess, you know what, guys, can we say France is a more diverse part of the world? And, you know, when people bring in these masses of diversity, you always get an uptick in certain crimes, don't you? And you get an uptick in crime and, like, a downward slope in living quality. That's what happens. That really is what happens, guys. You know, I don't know why we're doing it. It seems like we're on a self-fulfilling death march. So I want to switch now, guys, to the protest in the United Kingdom. So today, ladies and gentlemen, there's a pro-Palestine protest in the United Kingdom. I want to play you guys Nigel Farage's speech again, if I can find it. Is this it? If this is it, we'll play it. If not, I will. No, I think I must have deleted it. But basically, Nigel Farage came up yesterday, and he gave I think it was yesterday or the day before. I think it was yesterday. So Nigel Farage did a speech yesterday. Brilliant speech, fantastic speech, very statesmanly. And he was saying that these protests that were spontaneous protests in the aftermath of the Manchester attack, what Nigel Farage was saying, not me, guys, I've got absolutely no opinion on this. I don't want to get Lucy Conley. What Nigel Farage was saying was these were not protests, these were celebrations. And you've seen how people went wild. Just think, ladies and gentlemen, those people are like coiled springs ready to go out on a moment's notice and cause whatever you guys are, whatever scenes you guys saw, that's what they're ready to cause. So let me just have a quick look at X, guys, because I do want to look. I think Keir Starmer has come out and he's asked very politely the pro-Palestinian protesters that are going to be out today in London. He's asked them to show respect. You know, he's asked them to show a very, you know, can you please show respect, guys, in the aftermath of the Manchester attack. I think this is going to be a very good litmus test. I don't think, this is my opinion, guys, I don't think they're going to show respect. I don't think they're going to be courteous, kind, or respectful. I think it's going to be chaos and carnage. I really do. But what we're going to see here, this is going to be a litmus test. So, you know, should I print it off? So, you know how I always said right at the beginning of this chat, you've always got two aspects of whatever problem is. And I gave you guys the analogy of like the cylinder, and one guy is saying, no, it's a circle because of the shadow. And the other guy is saying, no, it's a square because it's a square. And then if they come together and say, right, okay, yeah, we get you. Yeah, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, all right. We're both wrong, but equally, we're both right. We've got new information now. We understand that there's a new perspective, and we both understand that that's a cylinder. We don't need to go war. We don't need to fight each other anymore. Let's shake hands and build spaceships. That's probably what would happen. But right now, well, you're going to see pretty soon. Maybe if this protest today, I think it's starting at 12. I may do a live. Do you know what, guys? I might come on and do a live stream on it. Do a real time. I think I will. I think I'll do a live stream on this and see what it's like. But right now, you've got these two directions, you know, and one of these directions is saying, which would be people who would be on the right, you know, just want to have a family, want to look after their kids, want to go on holiday, you know, don't want to pray 5 times a day, you know. I don't want 72 virgins, you know. I'm good with that. I don't want that. I'm good. You know, I'm quite fine. You know, this type of people saying, look, are you going to come to the negotiating table? Are we going to talk and try and sort something out? And the other side seems to just be from the river to the sea, from the river to the sea, rah, wave a flag, rah. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult to come together and communicate. But we're going to see today, ladies and gentlemen, maybe, and I don't think they will, but I'm just saying, maybe it will happen. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the protests will go, you know, maybe the protests will go absolutely smoothly. Maybe the pro-Palestinian protesters will be walking. Maybe they're going to show maybe they're all going to have their heads down. They're going to light candles in vigilance, in solidarity. I don't think that's the case. We will see. We will see later on today, ladies and gentlemen, okay? I just want to build spaceships, guys. I just want to build spaceships. That's all I want to do. I'm not interested in these wars, all right? I just want to build spaceships. Debbie Doobs is saying the problem is today's news is tomorrow's chip paper. Always something else takes over the news. Yeah, it is. I mean, look, guys, we've pretty much just forgot that somebody tried to assassinate Donald Trump. We've almost forgot that Charlie Kirk was shot in front of his wife and kids. I need to start doing more videos about that idiot. What's his name? Pascal Dillon or Villain or whatever his name is. Donna Hogan is saying, I keep deep cleaning, having hot baths, because I don't know when my last one will be with this messy world. Well, at least you've got a nice clean house. At least you've got a nice clean. What's a deep clean, Donna? What's the difference between a deep clean? What's the difference between a deep clean and a normal clean? But Donna Hogan is saying, I keep deep cleaning and having hot baths. I don't know when my last one will be. John Giles is saying, the protests aren't about Palestine; it's an excuse. Yeah, I think so as well. I think those people actually care. I would say they are more interested in anarchy. Lisa Jane over on YouTube is saying, why couldn't the PM say, if you go to London and protest today, you will end up in cells? I honestly, guys, I don't think we should be in the, I don't think that's because then what happens the next time there's another protest planned, if you open that can of worms where you start stopping protests, peaceful protests, obviously, then they all get stopped. Oh, we've done it once, we can do it again. I don't think the protest should be stopped. I think they should go ahead, but I think they should be peaceful and be respectful. We Fat Shug over on YouTube is saying, any kind of radical can be described like that. Everyone needs to take a step back and think. I agree. Everybody needs to take a step back and think. But the problem is, we're at a situation now where here in the United Kingdom, we have been tolerant and we've been taking a step back and thinking as these guys are coming forwards. We're gonna come over. We'll have the United Islamic State of Britain. It's actually written in the Quran. It's actually written. Let me get this. Hang on, guys. Let me Google this because I definitely don't want to say this wrong. Hang on, guys. Right, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one. I'm gonna have to. Right, I know it's somewhere, but I'm gonna have to. Right, I'm gonna have to come back to you on that one, guys. I don't want to misquote a biblical context, and I wouldn't misquote something from the Bible either. Right, hang on a minute. There's a load of comments just jumped up on TikTok. Right, hang on, guys. Let me get these comments on TikTok. Right, Daniel Pate. Right, guys. When we jump, I will jump onto the space stuff that's happening. When we jump over to YouTube or towards the end of the video. Daniel Payne over on TikTok is saying, "Good morning, Sir Raven. Good morning to you, good sir." Kaz is saying Paris has been a dirty hole for years now. Yes, let's get Raven a knighthood. I think Sir Raven would be good. Martin Quinn is saying immigrants have taken over Paris. They've been fighting for a while. Google is saying UN nuclear chief calls for political will to restore power to Ukraine's Zaporizhia. Martin Quinn is saying there seems to be a shooting in Manchester every day. Daniel Payne is saying, how long do you think this peace deal will hold? How long's a piece of string? We're going to have to see. Hamas yesterday said that they are. And look, guys, let's hope that everything goes well, and let's just hope that those hostages get back to their families, because I can't imagine what those families are going through, and I can't imagine what those hostages have been through as well. Let's hope everything goes well, but let's just be sober when we're thinking about this. Hamas have said initially that they agree, but they also want further negotiations. So I don't know, that it does seem to me that they may be stalling for time. Mike Quinn is saying, watched yet another protest, and they said she made $1 million for doing it. Who? I don't know who that's in reference to, Martin Quinn, because giving the licenses out for Palestinian protests, but not Christians. I don't know what are we. So are we saying here that they give licenses out for building mosques but reject churches? I don't think people want to build that many churches, guys. I don't think. I just don't think people. And again, a lot of churches. Listen, if you live in the United Kingdom right now, again, it's like one of these things that have media blackouts. Lots of churches are just getting set on fire. Well, do you know what? I'm not even going to say that. Lots of churches are burning down. Now, obviously, this is a gas leak. It's yada, yada, yada. Seems suspicious how all the churches are burning down. Watching you with that jumper and jacket reminds me of Police Academy, Sean, the Blue Oyster Bar. I just thought I'd have to do that. Mine Quinn is saying, someone was streaming fighting with the police in Leeds last night, but nothing on the news. Yeah, guys, listen, there is a lot of media blackout right now in the United Kingdom. Mass shooting was declared in France. Absolutely nothing on the mainstream media, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely nothing. 2 dead, 3 injured. 2 dead, I think 2 dead, 2 seriously injured, and 3 injured less so. Googly is saying, who needs digital ID? I have a post. Listen, guys. Here's a question for you, right? Here's a question. Do we think that digital ID would have stopped the attack yesterday at the synagogue? I mean, the more you look into this attack yesterday at the synagogue, the more weird it seems. This guy's dad, let me caffeinate myself. This guy's dad, I mean, he's a swizzler, guys. This guy's dad is a very pro-Palestinian. Hang on, guys. I'm just gonna pin this on TikTok. So if you're not on TikTok, guys, Danny Boy's just put a comment on saying, just heard from my friend in the army. There are 20,000 soldiers 5 miles outside of Ukraine. Let me just contextualize that, guys, okay? 20,000 soldiers just outside Ukraine. Let's imagine how that news. Let's just go for entertainment purposes now, guys. Whether it's true or not, obviously, unless it's out on mainstream media, I can't say it's true, but I've got no reason to doubt Danny Boy. But let's just say it's true for entertainment purposes. Let's just say that there are 20,000 troops outside 5. That's real close, guys. That's like if you're running that, like that's like what? What's that? Like 20 minutes running? Like 30 minutes or something. So if you take from that, if you contextualize that now from, imagine how Russian media would portray that. Imagine how Russian media are going to portray that, NATO forces ready to attack, building and gathering strength out. You see where I'm going with that? How both sides here, and it comes back to what, the meme thing with the shadows, When conversation breaks down, violence seems to be conflict seems to be almost inevitable. Hang on, guys. Right, okay, right. Martin Quinn here over on TikTok is saying, Martin Quinn is saying, remember when we went to war over weapons of mass destruction? Tony Blair was, okay. Right, so back in 2003, the invasion of Iraq, I was actually on the invasion of Iraq. I was on the invasion of Iraq. We were the first troops over the border, British troops, sorry. Do you know what? We weren't the first British troops over the border at all. We was among the first British troops over the border. UKSF had been in before us. Pathfinder platoon had been in before us, but we were among the first troops to travel over the border. And the weapons of mass destruction thing, he definitely had them, guys. You know, I don't know where they are now, but Saddam Hussein definitely had weapons of mass destruction. Now, all the rest of it, everything else that we're talking about now, the fact that Saddam Hussein was about to sell his oil in euros, the fact that the museum got robbed like within a couple of days of troops getting into Baghdad. There's lots of question marks. There's lots of question marks. But when we talk about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, the Iraqis have weapons of mass destruction. He definitely had them. We was in one of the first teams to go in and do searches of these huge storage facilities of huge weapon storage facilities. Right, I will tell you this, guys. I will tell you this. So while we were searching these huge weapons for storages, you have to have, you do a lot of briefing, and you get taught a lot of how to check for booby traps and stuff. And one of the things they tell you is if you smell marzipan, that's like explosives. That's explosives. Anyway, so I walked into this big storage facility, huge storage facilities, guys, with these like buried, you know, the shipping containers. Imagine a shipping container like half buried but covered in like dirt with steps going down to it. These were like weapon storage facilities. So I walked down into one and I could see all these wires going across. I thought, yeah, I'm not going in there. And I could smell marzipan. So I went over to my mate and I said, Steve, don't go down there, mate. There's like, it smells of marzipan and there's all the tripwires. I said, yeah. He's like, yeah, what, so no dramas. He was like, he's from South London. And anyway, so I'm like looking around. I'm doing my 5 and 20s, checking, doing everything you get taught. And I look round and Steve, he went into, he clicked and he went in. I'm like, what's happening? Anyway, he came out and I promise you guys, I don't know what was going on in his head. But he came out and he was holding this, I don't know what it's an anti-personnel mine. It's like a dome and there's like spikes coming out of it. And he's walking out and he's holding this thing in his hand really slowly. So I'm like, what do I do? Do I shout, Steve, what are you doing? Put that down, you lunatic. Or do I leave him? Like, what do you do in that scenario? Anyway, he walked out and he put it down and he came back and he started shooting it. And I was like, what goes on in some people's heads? Like, why would you do that? Anyway, sorry. So one of the storage containers we went into, it was absolutely filled. Like, you know, it wasn't just one container, actually. It was a facility. There was a full facility. It was in southern Iraq somewhere. I wouldn't know the exact place. In southern Iraq, there was a storage facility, and it was just full of nuclear, biological, and chemical warfare paraphernalia. Absolutely rammed. The amount of it was unbelievable. These military hazmat suits, atropine inoculations, all sorts of stuff, guys. Gas masks, you know. So there clearly was something there. And Saddam Hussein also used mustard gas on the Kurds. So we know that Saddam Hussein did have weapons of mass destruction. Now, whether he could deploy them at a moment's notice, at a moment's notice to move, all the other question marks, guys, I totally accept those. But 100% Saddam Hussein did have at some point weapons of mass destruction. Also, this, like, Iraq, like my experience of the 2003 invasion of Iraq was not of, it was of grown men crying, coming up to me and saying thank you. You know, the Iraqis were massively oppressed. You know, some of the stories about Saddam Hussein's two sons, Uday and Kusak, Uday and Kusak? Uday and Kusak, absolutely wild. I'm not going to get into them now, guys. They're quite gruesome. They're involving young girls and lots of bones being pulled out of certain reservoirs when they got drained. So, you know, it's a difficult aspect when people say, you know, when people say all this stuff about it's very easy to look back on things with it's very easy to look back on decisions. Like, you can make the right decision for the wrong reason, still the right decision. But anyway, guys, right, where was I going with that? Yeah, I was getting these questions. Googly's saying, did you see the video of Putin joking about the drones? Look, guys, it's not mentioned in UK media. Everybody in the West, like all Western NATO countries, are trying to build some sort of wonder weapon, some sort of technological advancement, some sort of like in Germany, it will be the wonder weapons to defeat these drones. The reality is, there isn't anything that, like, there is nothing. The only thing, and the Russians really have industrialized their the Russians really have industrialized their you know, their go on, their manufacturing capacity, their, you know, the way they can put their production facilities. Google is saying, be real, you wouldn't deny inspections if a serious issue as WMDs in your land came up. I think personally you might be right. He didn't want Iran to invade. Martin Quinn is saying, thought about sending air into the front line, the Russians would run back. Their war machine. I don't know what that means, guys. I don't know what that means. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, let me just quickly look, see if I can find any updates about this protest today. Okay, so I'm just getting this out now, guys. This is from X. The marches are to go ahead today. So there was calls for these marches to be banned. I don't think you should ban these marches, guys. I really don't. I think because once you start banning marches, you know, other marches get banned. So I don't think you should ban them. What I think should happen, you know, anybody who's going on that march should just show respect. Can we not show respect, guys? Is respect out of the question now? We forgot how to show respect. But it does look like the planned marches today, guys, in London and Manchester. Guys, look, this is going to be interesting to see, especially you know what, both of them really. I mean, you've got Manchester, which is literally still in mourning from this attack at the synagogue, and now you've got a pro-Palestinian march in Manchester. What are they going to do, guys? What do we think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to show respect? Do you think they're going to show respect and, you know, solidarity with what's happened and, you know, all be respectful and courteous? I don't think so. We can hope. And also we've got London. You know, London is a hotbed of diversity. It's a hotbed of diversity. So let's see how this pans out, guys. I think it's due to start on, I think it's due to start at, Hang on, I've got a video here. I'm not going to play it, but this is from GB News. GB News is saying this is more about getting angry people out onto the streets than any meaningful change in the Middle East. I agree. Somebody said that in the chat earlier. This has got nothing to do with Palestine. It's got nothing to do with Palestinians. All it's got to do is we're getting these angry people who want anarchy onto the streets of the United Kingdom. And look, guys, I'm all for anarchy. You know, I'm all for anarchy. You know, if we can actually have anarchy, because I would be like the king of the north within like a couple of days. I would go full warlord. Like, you know, as soon as it happens, I'm running upstairs. I've got a leather jacket. I've already got the arms cut off. I've got some leather chaps. I've got a baseball bat with some barbed wire around it. I've got my face mask. I am going full apocalyptic warlord, ladies and gentlemen. You can join me. You can join me if you want. We can have our new civilization. We'll go around. We'll take villages, towns, cities, settlements, and we will not be a tolerant nation. We will not tolerate anything else in my kingdom, because I'm sick of being tolerant. I'm just looking here, guys, at these. Right, let me see what's coming on the mainstream here. I do think the rain, though it's real bad rain, I think the rain will shy a lot of people away. Right, where are we? Right, we'll go with this one from The Independent. Pro-Palestine march goes ahead despite Starmer and police calls to cancel after Manchester attack. Defend Our Jury says more than 1,500 people this is Trafalgar Square. Pro-Palestine protests are set to go ahead despite Keir Starmer and the police calling for it to be cancelled following the terror attack on a synagogue in Manchester on Thursday. Defend Our Juries have organised an event in Trafalgar Square on Saturday afternoon, which could see more than 1,000. Let's see how many of those people get arrested, guys. I'm going for 50%. I'm going to go with 50%. All right. I'm going to go with half of them will get arrested. People to attend peacefully sit and hold cardboard signs saying I oppose genocide. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, guys. I don't think anybody should ostracized for saying I oppose genocide, which I think is fair. But what I'm getting at here is how is this gonna move? You know, are we gonna have the people sat there saying, I oppose genocide, and on the flanks, people going crazy, waving these Palestinian flags, climbing on buildings, smashing things, trying to attack the police? I would say it's the latter. But remember, guys, the weather in Manchester really is going to rain a lot of people off. But in London, I don't think it's that bad in London. Scotland Yard Chief Mark Rowley, Sir Mark Rowley. How is he Sir Mark Rowley and I'm not Sir Raven? Scotland Yard Police Chief Mark Rowley said he had asked for protests to be postponed due to the drain on resources while extra officers are stationed at synagogue. Wow, yeah, I didn't realize that. Yeah, so massive drain on resources, guys. And I've said this, haven't I? I've said this so many times. We are going to get to a point where the resources are just going to be over. So can you imagine now? Just imagine now, ladies and gentlemen, so we've got extra police at synagogues, extra police on the streets to police this protest. What if an emergency protest breaks out in Leeds? Emergency protest breaks out in Leeds. Who's going to protect them? Like, there's no one else to call. I mean, like, Batman. I'm at least 45 minutes away. So, like, who's going to be there to protect people? And this is what I've said so many times, guys. So many times I've said this. Here in the United Kingdom, we have no legal framework to protect ourselves. Zero. We cannot legally protect ourselves. It's illegal. Make that make sense, guys. It is illegal in the United Kingdom to protect yourself. And the scenario I give is, imagine if you live on a cul-de-sac. For those of you How do you describe a cul? So a cul-de-sac, if you don't know what cul-de-sac is, if you're not from the UK, a cul-de-sac is a street of houses with no through road. Yeah, yeah. So it doesn't go anywhere. So nobody else really. There's one way in, one way out. In fact, you know what? I'm going to change this definition. Imagine you live on one of these new housing estates. You know these new housing estates that have one way in and one way out. And if some bad men with stuff, if some bad men came and blocked that exit road, you wouldn't be able to get out. Just imagine you phone the police and you say, yeah, you know what, the cul-de-sac is the better option. The cul-de-sac's the better visualization. So you live on a cul-de-sac now, right? So it's one road, and you look down, and at number one, you hear a load of banging. You hear a load of men pull up on in a 4x4. They get out. They're smashing the windows. They're dragging people out. It's carnage. And then it all goes quiet. And then they move into number two. Same thing happens. So you phone the police. Hello, yeah, something's happening on my street. Oh, can you confirm there's a crime? Well, I can't see it. No, but I can hear screaming. Can you give me a description? You give a description, and then the police is like, are you sure you're not being racist? What, eh? That happened in Rotherham, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you, that happened in Rotherham. I know people, I grew up in Rotherham. I've spoken to people who reported grooming gangs, literally reported grooming gangs. The police came out, and you know what the police said to them? Have a guess. The police actually said to these people, you don't have any evidence for what you're saying. What you're saying is racist. 6 months later, they all got arrested for the thing that was reported 6 months earlier. I think it was longer, actually, maybe a year or something afterwards. So, we know this happens. Anyway, so you're in your house, and they get to the second street. Do you know what the police's advice to you is going to be? Sit in your house, close your doors and windows, and lock your doors and windows. That's going to be the police's advice to you, because we have no legal framework to protect ourselves here in the United Kingdom. None, zero. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to jump over to TikTok not TikTok. Hang on. Hang on, guys. Right, hang on a minute, guys. I'm just going to get the TikTok chat here. Right, guys, there's loads of... Right, guys, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get all the comments here on TikTok. Right, let me get the last comments on YouTube. Guys, listen, I will be jumping over to YouTube in a minute. Can you guys hear the wind here? It's absolutely phenomenal. Give me a second. Yeah, it's pretty bad out there, guys. It's pretty bad. Lisa Jane is saying, I bought a wind-up solar-powered radio and torch bank. They're really good, guys. Oh, hang on. Oh, right. Okay, right. I'm not going to get the comments on the chat on YouTube because you guys are talking among yourselves. I'll finish the comments on TikTok, guys. And you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to move. Once I jump over to YouTube, what I think I'm going to do is I'll bring the camera on YouTube and we will sit so we've got the wind behind me, because I've got like a big open window there, like a big arched window, and it's a real nice view, and we can see all the wind behind me. Right, guys, there's so many comments on TikTok here. Done that one, done that one, done that one, done that one, done. Right, hang on. Right, we're talking about being a warlord. They've got police at synagogues, police at mosques as well. Oh, right, I didn't realize there's police at mosques as well. Look at the size of that mosque they're building in the Lake District. Google is saying, Sean, you might be right. No way. Just read a newspaper. Revealed Tory plot to replace Badenoch with Jenrick. Yeah, that was always going to happen. His allies are collecting no confidence letters from yeah, guys, it was always going to happen. The return. Look, guys, remember when, like, a long time ago, people were saying, I said, listen, the next parliament is going to be a hung parliament with Reform and Conservatives, and it's either going to be Robert Jenrick in charge and Nigel Farage as deputy, or Nigel Farage in charge and Robert Jenrick as deputy. Like, I said this like last year or something. Yeah. Jenrick's definitely going to lead, guys. Sean, that psychic, said the same thing. I don't go with psychics, guys. I go with real information. I go with where people put their tanks, bombs, trains, planes, automobiles. I look at geopolitical structuring, interpersonal relationships. Look, I think Robert Jenrick was always set up to be the leader. He just needed to go away, and he needed to do his little social media thing where he's going out exposing things, not as leader of the opposition, just as that guy. Kind of. I'm not even going to refer to him as Aragon, but I don't think that it's going to be such a whitewash at the net. Like, everybody's saying now, oh, it's going to be a whitewash Reform. We're going to do this. Trust me, guys. All right. These people are not stupid. They understand that people don't really know who they're going to vote for until a month before the election. So realistically, it doesn't matter what's happening now. Literally does not matter what is happening now. What matters is 2029, that's when the election process will really start. January 2029, guys. And I've said it so many times, we will look back on these videos when Keir Starmer stops the boats. He'll stop the boats before January 2029. He will start mass deportations. He will, and people will be saying, oh, well done, Starmer, you've stopped the boats, you've done what no one else could. Oh, you're fantastic. But let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, this is all window shopping. The real problems with our societies are not left-right politics. They're the structures that they serve. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. I'm going to jump over to YouTube and TikTok. I'm going to try and get the video out there. I'm going to try and take the live stream over there. I'm just thinking, actually, the cable might not reach. I will take the live stream out and we can have a look at the wind outside, because it is pretty epic outside, guys. We're getting real bad winds and the trees are going like that. The crux of this live stream has been, it's been reported that there's been a mass shooting in France. Hardly anybody's reporting on this. It does seem like there's a media blackout. We have got the protests in Manchester and London today, the pro-Palestinian protests in London and Manchester today. Let's see how they go, guys. Let's see how they go. Are they going to be respectful or disrespectful? I do think the protest in Manchester, I think that one's going to get rained off. I think that one's going to go without much of an incident, because of the weather. The one in London, I don't know, guys. We're going to have to wait and see what happens to that one in London. I think it's due to start at 12, which is like, in just over an hour. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be jumping over to YouTube, and I'll be and if you want to jump over to YouTube, guys, I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube, and I'm the Real Raven 1 on X. And if not, I'll be on later on today. And if this protest in London, I don't think the one in Manchester is going to get violent. But if the one in London gets violent, I'll jump on and we'll try and give real-time analysis of that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not jumping over to YouTube, I will see you guys later at 8. Don't be late. Right, how do we do this? Because I know you guys want to look outside, don't you, and see this weather. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to open the curtains first, because I'm going to have the camera in one hand. So give me a second, guys. Let me open the curtain. Right, I've got the curtain open. Right, I'll get the camera now. This could go... Right, ladies and gentlemen, this could go terribly wrong. This could go, like, wildly wrong. If it does go wrong, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, right? I'm going to try and get you guys outside. Hang on. Sorry, guys. I'm just looking how this camera's attached. Right, so that's... So I don't want to... We're going. We're going. We're going. You can't really see much. But it is pretty wild out there, guys. Is that better? No, you can't. It doesn't really do it justice on the camera, guys. Doesn't really do it justice on the camera. Yeah, it looks a lot more. It looks a lot more dramatic when you're here. Yeah, that didn't work. Let me shut the curtains. Oh, but it is absolutely being battered outside, guys. It's like the wind is really bad. We've got that storm Anna or Amy or whatever it is. Right, let me jump over and get these. Let me plug that back in, actually. So if I don't plug this in, I'll forget, and then all the power will go off. There we are, plugged in, look. We are plugged in and ready to go. Yeah, right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. It looked a lot more dramatic, the view outside, when I opened the curtains, but with a camera, it didn't really do it justice. Yeah, stormy. I mean, my friend's wife's called my friend's ex-wife's called Amy, and she was absolutely wild at their wedding do. She chased me outside. I'd not done it. She chased me outside with a stick. So I ran back round the reception thing, and I closed the doors and I put a chair. Yeah, it was those go on. Like double pushing doors. So I put a chair behind it so she couldn't open it. She was wild. Don Hogan is saying Ukrainian minister warns Europe of serious Russian threat. It is, guys. Look, you know how like the threat from you've got, you know, the reason I give you guys such granular analysis is because I understand these conflict zones. And what you've got to understand from the Russians is let's just look at this holistically then. So Donna Hogan here is saying Ukrainian ministers warn Europe of a serious Russian threat. Yes. Let's just look here at the 20,000 troops that we got told were amassing on the Ukrainian border from the NATO side. You've got to look from the Russian perspective now. If the Russians believe that those troops are going to come in and enter that conflict, why wouldn't they strike them first? Also, you've got to understand, the Russians understand, you've got to understand that the Russians understand that this is a war of manufacturing, guys. This is not going to be a special forces war. Not a chance. Yes, special forces will play a part. There will be secret missions behind enemy lines. I know they're happening, you know, but the reality is this is a green war. This is going to be an industrial conflict. And Russia understand that they've got the upper hand right now. They're you know, here in the West, where, you know, we'll just talk about drones, because somebody was talking about drones before. You know, with drone warfare, here in the West, we're trying to find this new technology, this new piece of kit and equipment. Oh, we're going to develop this. We're going to develop that. We're going to develop this. And it's all bullshit, guys. None of it works. The people are just paying professors. Somebody said, I think he was like an American president or something. I think it was Eisenhower. I'm pretty sure it was Eisenhower said, as soon as you make war profitable, you'll have more wars. But the problem is, I would add to that, and I would say, if you make prolonging wars profitable, you'll have more wars. If you make ending wars profitable, they will get ended real quick. Like real quick, they will be ended because that's where the money will be. But the money isn't in but the money isn't, the big money isn't in winning the war. The big money is in prolonging the war, dragging it on, because you get to build more stuff. You get more artillery pieces being used. You get more drones being destroyed. And the Russians understand this. And the Russians are looking at us here in the West and they're thinking, look at all that money they're spending and they're producing nothing. While the Russians have just said, right, Shaheed, we'll just produce shitloads of Shaheeds and everybody will use them. One system, one method of operation, interchangeable parts, interchangeable bodies, interchangeable engines, interchangeable munitions. There you go. And here in the West, we've got the Swedish developing stuff, the Norwegians developing stuff, the French developing stuff, the Brits developing stuff. It's all bullshit, guys. It's all bullshit. Look back through my earlier videos when I used to talk about this. Well, I'm still the same. Right now, what NATO needs to do is full spectrum standardization. So what do I mean by that? Obviously, we've just spoke about standardization of drones. So the best way to think about this is think about like a standard vehicle, Land Rover. Britain uses the 90s and 110 Land Rovers made by Land Rover. The Germans use Gelderwagens, G-Wagons, military spec. Now, if the Brits and Germans are operating together and a British vehicle breaks down, they can't be helped by the German counterparts because it's a totally different logistics system. It's a totally different different wheels, different tires, different engines. Well, maybe not different tires, different engines, different bolts, different gearboxes. All the stuff's different. So now you're running two separate systems. So now you need two chains of logistics rather than one. And you see the problems and the French are using a different vehicle. The Polish are using, I think the Polish are using Humvees. So you see how big the logistics, it's chaos, guys. It's chaos. Whereas the Russians, they've got one logistics chain, one clearly identifiable goal, one set of systems, and they're driving forwards. So on paper, yeah, sure, on paper, it does look like, and NATO will have that upper hand for early on. Mr. Byte Explores is saying the only way to stop drones is by learning clay pigeons at the range. The only way to stop, yeah, guys, I agree 100%. Everybody's looking for this new piece of technology. There isn't one. There literally isn't one. You need a shotgun. Literally, you need a shotgun. You need a shotgun with what is it? Buckshot. That is literally what you need. A shotgun with buckshot. Lasers, little targeting systems. It's all bullshit, guys. It's a waste of money. These little things that fire radio frequencies. It's all a waste of money. Shotguns with buckshots, done. Donna is saying, can you do another video for the preppers? I don't think I'm the best person to do the preppers videos, guys, but I will. I should probably do like a city prepper thing because, one of the things I talk about when, everybody's thinking about, and it's bullshit. Everybody wants to have like this survival kit. Everybody wants to have like this, this survival kit, and they think they're going to go out into the woods with their. They think they're going to go out. They think they're going to go out into the woods with a backpack and like a, you know, a little flint to make some fire. Guys, you're going to go out and make a fire in this? Not a chance, Billy Bob. Not a chance, Billy Bob. Nobody's making a fire in this weather, guys. I don't care who you are. You're not making a fire in this weather. You know, people want to go out in the woods and make fire and live off the land. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. The most likely scenario, if you live in the United Kingdom, is urban survival. Nobody talks about urban survival, but you know what, guys? If you live in the United Kingdom, you are in an urban environment. We don't really have those vast, you know, those vast prairies like they do in America, in Ukraine, in Canada, in Russia, certainly. You know, so if you live in the United Kingdom, you know, you're going to need an urban survival kit, because what's most likely is if there is an incident near you, you will be moved to a centralized location, and that will normally be a school, a sports hall, a leisure center, something with a big area that you can put people in. Now, the problem there is those big leisure centers then become a security threat, because you can imagine now with a complicated attack, or what do the government call it now? The government call it what's the phrase the government are using, guys? When I first started talking about this, I said it's a complicated attack. Marauding terrorist attack. So the government, in their Operation Plato, they've actually got planning in place for a multi-pronged marauding terrorist attack. And I do think that's coming, guys. I really do think that's coming to the United Kingdom. I've been talking about this, and it turns out the government have already got plans for it, and it's called Operation Plato. Now, sorry, let me read this comment, because I didn't even read the comment. I just went off, didn't I? Sean, can you do another video for preppers of things to have? I noticed we have a few prepping on here, and they may need some advice on stuff you need. Okay, yeah. You know, and it's not, you know, I would recommend. So I've done videos before where I've said, I think learning this algorithm is better, guys. Well, not equally as important. So hibernate, relocate, evacuate. So if something happens, the first thing you need to do is go back home. Like, trust me, if you think that you can carry, like, you know, if you think that you need to drink 3 liters of water per day, per person, okay, that's 3 kilos. So for 3 days, that's 9 liters of water. That's almost 10 kilos. So you've got 10 kilos of water to carry on your back before you even think about a sleeping bag or a tent or a shelter or anything like that. 10 kilos is heavy, guys. 10 kilos is heavy to carry for a long time. So, and it's big, it's mass. So the first port of call is always going to be go home, because I can guarantee that I can carry more water on my kitchen floor than I can on my back. Every time my kitchen floor will win. My kitchen floor will win every time, guys, you know. So I can store more stuff in my house than I can carry every time. And I would speculate that goes to that's the same for everyone, you know. So your first port of call should be hibernate, relocate, evacuate. This is an algorithm that gets taught. If you guys can Google it. There's lots of stuff. There's probably YouTube videos on it. I know I've done a few. You know, hibernate, relocate, evacuate. So first of all, you hibernate, you go home, you stay back. Then you want to relocate. Now your relocate, you know, you need to identify a relocation house to go to. So, you know, our house is the relocation house for everybody we know. And you know what, guys? It was a couple of days ago. I actually phoned up my sister, and I was saying, listen, you know, things are getting real bad here, aren't they? She said, yeah, they are. I've just got back from town. I was like, yeah. There was in Sheffield, there was a massive pro-Palestine march, and it was wild, and it really shook up my sister. And then she started listening to me. She's like, yeah, so do we need to bring anything? I started laughing. I was saying, you was calling me an idiot 2 months ago. She says, yeah, I know, Sean, but I'm just worried. I'm like, yeah, right, okay, just bring whatever. Anyway, sorry, guys, I will do another video on that, maybe later on today or something. Sorry, guys, I just went out on an. The Watchman is saying 10 kilos of lager. So that's like what, 20 pints? Good effort. Good effort. Ian is saying, get yourself a weed wand for starting fires. Plus, it's a great anti-zombie flamethrower. I don't know what that. Oh, yeah. Do you know what? I've actually got one of those. Do you know what? I've got it here. No, I don't. It's outside. That's not it. That was the thing for the shutters. But yeah, they're like a. I bought mine. It was like a tenner from Home Bargains. I do actually start the barbecue with it. You're right. Oh, hang on. Freddie is saying dozens injured after Ukrainian drone strike on Ukrainian railway station. So, okay, so look, guys, I'm giving you guys this in real-time analysis. I don't believe, right? Okay. A few things I've said is that the Russians are not attacking the railways now. For those of you guys who don't know, there's one real rail route out of Kiev, and it's east-west. And a lot of times I've said at some point the Russians will take that railway line out. So if you think about Ukraine, you've got like Kiev. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm giving you guys this analysis in real time. Who else can give you such a granular analysis off the cuff? I don't know. Probably no one. So you think about Kiev, the city of Kiev, beautiful city, guys. If anybody ever gets a chance to go there, you should go there. If you think west, or for you guys, it's west. In line with Kiev, you have the main rail route to Lviv. That's a really good rail route. That's where a lot of the logistics comes in and a lot of the personnel go out there. And a lot of people, most people now traveling to and from Kiev, they go on the train because it's just easier. It's better and easier to travel on the train. And I've said quite a few times that as soon as Russia's serious about doing the next step, they're going to take down that. They will take down that train line. So let me just ask. Let me just go. In fact, I'll do it. I'll do it on here. And then let me see where it is. I don't know where this is. Let's see where it is. Now, when these drone strikes started to, oh, hang on, got it there. At least 30 people. I'm just reading this, guys, in real time. Where is it? Where? It's in, okay, so it's in Sumy, so it's like northeast region. But what I said about the rail tracks, guys, you know, it is absolutely key. That rail line east-west is absolutely like, it's like people don't understand how vulnerable that rail train line is. And I think as soon as Putin wants, he's obviously not doing it now, because if he does it now, it'll just get repaired. And it doesn't make any real sense to do it now. But as soon as the Russians are ready to take that that big drive forwards and that big step, they're going to sever those rail lines, guys. You know, and then things will have to come in by truck. Things coming in by truck take a lot longer. You know, there's roads, there's people getting lost. It takes longer to come in by truck, guys. But yeah, so what was this, like a couple of minutes ago? Dozens injured after savage Russian drone attack on Ukrainian railway station, Zelensky says. At least 30 people have been injured in a Russian drone strike on the railway station. A savage Russian drone attack on the railway station in Shostoka in the Sumy region. Guys, I really miss being out there. I really miss being in other countries. And that whole, you know, immersing yourself in another culture and not expecting them to buckle to my culture. So far, we know of at least 30 victims. Preliminary reports indicate. So you got to understand, though, that Sumy region, that is the adjacent region to Kursk. So for the attacks that may or may not be going into the Kursk nuclear power plant, I would say that that's got something to do with that. Obviously, nothing on the mainstream will be covering that, but that's where it is. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I give you guys real-time analysis, real-time speculation, and real-world perspective. They have also targeted energy infrastructure. Told you, didn't I, guys? I told you, didn't I tell you? Like I said, right, okay, this time of year, the Russians will start to strike the Ukrainian energy infrastructure. Gas, electric, anything that can turn the heating off. Because guess what? It gets kind of cold out there. Ian McMahon is saying, I've got boxes of Hexi stove, ex-NATO stock, ex-NATO stock, nearly impossible to extinguish, makes great tea. So those Hexi stoves, hexamethane trimethanol or something it's called. That's what the military get issued as to cook on. The reason the military get issued that, not gas, is because when you're going to foreign countries and you need to fly over there, you're not allowed to fly, carrying gas on an airplane that might get shot. Kind of not a good thing. So you get these like hard fuel blocks. When you get issued them with the military, you get these windproof matches. I tell you guys, if you can light a Hexi block with one of those army issued windproof matches, that in itself is a skill. And like, you should be able to put that down as like an MVQ level or something, because it is very hard. Doing it in this weather, not a chance. Silly is saying, Sean, you should come to Israel. I'd love to come to Israel, guys. I would. I'd love to come to Israel and do the whole, like one of the tours where all the Templars go. You should come to Israel. You love the kebabs. I do, guys. I love a kebab. I do. I love a kebab, and say what you want about the Middle East. They do fantastic food. They do fantastic food. But listen, guys, I'm going to put it there to anyone, right? Anybody, any Iraqi that lives in the United Kingdom right now, anybody from the Middle East, I'm pretty confident I make the very best Iraqi kebabs. And I'm putting it out there, guys. I'm owning that. I think I make the best Iraqi kebabs. Donna Hogan is saying, if you buy an MRE off an army prep shop, you usually get a self-heating bag. Yeah, they're the American ones. They're expensive. They're expensive. And you know what you can do with those MREs as well? If you get like a 500-liter water bottle, I can't say what I was going to say. I can't say what I was going to say. I can't say what I was going to say. I can't say what I was going to say. But maybe someone will put it in the chat. What involves those MRE heaters and a 500 milliliter water bottle? All I'm going to say, I'm just going to leave that, guys. I'm just going to leave that. Still he's saying we have a big Iraqi Jewish community. Oh, and Slim is saying Hexi has been banned as it can be converted into explosives. Right, okay. Okay, whatever. Look, I just know that was what we got issued in the military. Maybe it has got ulterior uses. I don't know. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. You guys have been fantastic. And just looking at your comments, guys, there's some good-looking people commenting on this chat, guys. You guys are fantastic. You really are. I'll be back on later today at 8. I'm probably, if things go crazy today, and I don't think so. Two things, guys. Right, I believe there's a media blackout on. I do believe there's massive media blackouts at the moment. Mass shooting in France. Some news articles are talking about it. Absolutely nothing on the mainstream media in the United Kingdom. 2 people dead, 2 people dead, 2 seriously injured, 3 in hospital. So the military, it looks like, are going into that region to provide peace and security, or whatever that means. We've got the planned protests today, which are in like less than an hour now. Yeah, less than an hour in Manchester and London. I think the weather, you guys have seen it. We're not too far from Manchester, and Manchester's actually worse than us. So I do think the bad. I mean, look, guys, these are liberals, and they don't like the countryside. You know, they don't like going out in the rain. They don't like going out in the wind. They like it in the countryside, but by their chicken shops and with the little having their little lattes. That's what they like. That's what the liberals like. So I don't think they're going to be out in this weather. They might be. But I think the Manchester one is going to be relatively peaceful because of the weather. London, the weather's not so bad. Big buildings, it's relatively protected in London. So I do think London has the potential to go south. And remember, guys, we're going to see how we're just going to see. We're going to see what happens. Are people going to show respect or are they not? I would speculate it's the latter, but time will tell. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close this down now. I know I keep saying that. I hope you have a great day. Thank you for hanging out with me, guys. I'll be back on at 8.